Today we're going to be talking about the Taurus G3C since it came back from the Taurus plant in Bainbridge, Georgia for servicing. Are you ready? Stand by. Welcome back to the Humble Marksman channel. I'm David and I'll be your guide in pursuit of practical pistol proficiency. Now this is the second video on the Taurus G3C. The first video, the gun just didn't work. A lot of you Taurus guys, let me know in the comments you didn't appreciate me saying not nice things about the gun. So I feel like it's my duty to disclose to you that I'm paid by all the gun companies you don't like to say mean and nasty things about guns you do like, because that's how things work here on YouTube. Kidding aside, I do need to address some of the overarching themes throughout those comments. First and foremost, the channel name, The Humble Marksman. It is a sarcastic joke, and all of the sarcastic jokes were intended to kind of tip you off to that. I apologize if they didn't do it. I'll do better at not sucking on future jokes. Number two, I am not a Glock fanboy. I've reviewed a lot of guns. I shoot Berettas in competition. I am sort of agnostic as far as it comes to brands. I don't walk around with a sticker on my car about whatever gun I have because I'll shoot whatever gun's in my hands well enough. And there were a lot of you who said, well, all the other reviews on YouTube are positive. Yours is the only negative one. Why'd you make a negative video? I made a negative video because this gun didn't work when I first got it out of the box. The way these things work is you review the gun that's in your hands and you make a video on it. That's what you want. You don't watch all the other videos, then make a consensus video based on what all the other reviewers are saying. If that was how reviews work, then I could just not buy the gun at all and say all the same things other people who have already had the gun have said. So now we're going to update this video with what it's like when it came back from the factory. Another thing that was really consistent in the comments is you guys like the appeal to authority. Somebody's got to have a name brand or something like that. I generally don't throw this out in the videos, but I'll go ahead and do that. So here's the credential for you people who need the appeal to authority. I am a 2-division USPSA Master Classified Shooter, and what that is, that's basically handgun racing, and it means that I am, on average, about 85% as good as the 10 best people who have ever shot whatever classifier we're talking about. That's not to say I'm some Meal Team 6 ninja and an invincible pistol wizard or anything like that. It just means that I have good technique, I can run guns well, and when the gun malfunctions, it's probably because the gun is malfunctioning. It has little and nothing to do with my technique, because you notice in the last video I shoot it one-handed a lot, I shoot it left-handed a lot, and that's purely to see if it's me or if it's the gun that is breaking down, and I got malfunctions all the different ways that I tried shooting the pistol. The next thing, and this is really not you guys, it's more just the gun community in general. Stop saying flawless rounds. Like, so many flawless rounds through the gun. Flawless, like that's the word everybody uses. Again, no offense to you guys. It's just one of these tropes that I wish would go away, and it's just me being a nitpicker, and that's fine. But this gun, according to Taurus, is not broken in until 300 rounds. So if you've only shot a couple hundred rounds more than the break-in period, I maybe wouldn't go so far as to call them flawless rounds because the gun is still very new and you don't know if it's going to break yet. Typically speaking, on striker-fired guns, the first maintenance interval is at about 5,000 rounds. So if you want to refer to them as flawless rounds, maybe get north of about 2,000 and then use that term and that would be okay. That said, with this gun and any gun, a malfunction or two out of the box within the first 200 to 300 rounds may very well be a break-in period. Mine had 12 to 15 stoppages in the first 165 rounds, so clearly this one was a lemon. And that brings us to the next point. Yes, I understand every manufacturer makes lemons. This gun was clearly a lemon when it came to me from Taurus out of the box. So I sent it back to Taurus and they've sent it back to me just like they're supposed to do. I'm not going to comment on the customer service because I honestly have never sent another gun back, so I don't know whether an 8-week turnaround is reasonable, unreasonable. They told me it was going to take 12 weeks and it came back to me in 8. My experience was okay. The only complaint I have about Taurus customer service was actually getting through to speak to a human. Due to the COVID, they don't have as many people answering phones, I guess, because it took probably 6 or 7 attempts to get through the menu tree to talk to a human. when they didn't, basically said, please call back later because of unusually high call volume. That said, they do have a place on the website where you can track your warranty service and how it's tracking. And what that means is you can see whether or not they've received the gun or not, because what happened with my gun is I sent it to them. They acknowledged that they got the gun, and then it sat on the shelf, ignored for about 7 weeks. And then they picked it up in an afternoon, fixed it, and sent it back to me super fast. So it's not like you get to watch the status bar go up. You just basically, yes, we have it. Yes, it's sent back to you. And that's basically it. It is nice because the way the law works, if you own the pistol, it's been transferred to you already, and they have an FFL license, you ship it directly to them from your house, and they will ship it back to you directly to your house since the gun has already been transferred to you. So that was pretty painless. It was FedEx 2-day, so it really speeds up the shipping, and that's nice. Another thing that y'all like to bring up, and this one I do have to call you out and say you're wrong, is because on the side it does in fact say Bainbridge Georgia next to the Taurus logo. However, that's not the gun. The gun is the actual receiver at the bottom polymer piece, and it is stamped right there on my frame that it is made in Brazil. So while Taurus is headquartered in Bainbridge, Georgia, and there may be some versions of this gun that are made in Georgia, this particular one was made in Brazil. So as not to retread a bunch of information covered in the last video, to summarize it very quickly, the gun actually has a lot of very high-level features that are not present in a lot of other guns, specifically in this price point. I paid about $279 for this pistol before shipping and tax and all that great stuff, and the features present on the pistol are quite strong. The trigger itself is not bad at all. There is a seriously long take-up before you get to the wall, and that because it has the double strike system that basically makes it a double action only style trigger. But once you stage it on the wall, it's a pretty firm wall. It's not bad. It's pretty standard fare for a striker gun, and then it breaks and releases the trigger. It is not a double single action gun, which some of you guys said in the comments. It is a double action only. It does it. There is no difference between the trigger pull from the reset versus the full double action pull. They are basically the same. If there is a difference, I can't tell the difference in my finger. The frame itself is pretty squared away with very aggressive texture on the front and back strap, which is a notable feature since nobody does that on a gun specifically in this price point. And then you've got a lesser texture on the grip panels. The frame is small. If you're a larger handed shooter like I am, you're gonna basically choke the thing. It's gonna disappear inside your finger, but it is a compact style gun for concealed carry. Don't love the safety, the fact that it has a manual safety. I don't think any striker gun that has a trigger blade safety should have a manual safety, but it's got one, so use it or don't. The quality when you actually feel the gun, no big deal. It seems like a quite nice gun. Now, the problem is the reliability, and we'll get to the reliability on the range in a second, because I do have some information on the finish. I dinged the finish because it feels like a Parkerized finish. I didn't think the finish was going to hold up, despite it being said to be a Tinnifer finish. Harry's Holsters is making his new singleton holster for it, and quick sales pitch on the singleton, guys. It starts at 48 bucks, and it comes with a discreet carry concept clip. For this reason alone, this beautiful clip right here makes this holster better than any other $30 or $40 holster. That's beside the point that this holster is vacuum formed and precision CNC cut so that every holster comes out beautifully, and the retention is totally on point. It is super suitable for rolling around, doing hard work, whatever. It's not going to have any issues letting go of the gun. A sharp tug will defeat the retention, and it's ready to go. If you want to configure it like you see here with the appendix position, which is what I do, then they've got the wing claw and a pad that really makes the gun disappear when you're concealed carrying. So this particular gun is invisible when I conceal carry using the holster in the appendix position with this setup. And the other nice feature about the singleton holster is it has an open sight channel, which no big deal. It lets debris out of the holster, and it has this large flared mouth. So when you actually go to holster, it's very easy to get in there and you're not fishing around in your waistband. So all of that to say, if you want to save 10% on one of these, I have a code in the description, The Humble Marksman at checkout, all one word, will save you 10%. I carry Harry's holsters and have for years. They're absolutely fantastic holsters. But that said, I put this gun into this holster and took it out over 500 times. And I was really curious to see if the finish specifically on the slide was going to hold up. And what I can report to you is that yes, it absolutely did. The high points that interface with the holster, specifically on this edge since I'm a right-handed shooter, and all along this flat since as an appendix shooter you kind of drag it across the face of the holster. It's great. It's smoothed out the finish because the finish has kind of a pebbly sort of feeling, and the places that it interfaces with the holster really sort of smoothed out and lay flat, so they develop a little bit of a sheen. The finish on the gun is in great shape. There is a little bit of a shine on the trigger bar where the holster grabs the trigger guard, same as you would for any other concealed carry piece, but I can give the finish high marks because it has basically no finish wear other than marks that you can see that it has been holstered. So the finish is squared away on the pistol, so good job, Taurus, that is awesome. Now, taking the gun to the range. The problem that I had last time was a failure to extract issue. When I got the gun back from Taurus, it said that the trigger bar was adjusted, they shot 24 rounds through it, and they sent it back to me. And that made me really kind of scratch my head because the trigger bar has nothing to do with extraction. So I thought fully that they basically just phoned it in and sent it back to me and I was gonna have to go through the warranty repair period again. I'm happy to report that wasn't the case, but I do think I figured out what the issue was. The Taurus has a really, really tight and short chamber. If you take the barrel out of the gun, you place a live round into the chamber. Hopefully it's going to sink all the way down, and then when you turn the barrel upside down, the round should fall free under its own weight. With the Rota ammo situation being what it is, I had 3 types of ammo to test this with. My reloads, which some were coated lead and some were jacketed reloads, neither one of those, didn't matter how many rounds I tried, would push into the barrel without me pushing on the back of it, and at that point when I would invert the barrel, none of the rounds would fall out. Using some of the steel cased ammo that I had from the last time I shot this gun, about 1 in 4 rounds would actually fall free under its own weight from this chamber. So I think it just has a really, really tight chamber, and when the round would go off, the case would expand and grab the already intense friction in the chamber. It would overcome the extractor's force on the case rim and it would leave the case in the chamber. Now, because I oiled the gun, which you're supposed to do and I do with all of my pistols, I had no issues with it this time. I put over 100 rounds through this bad boy, just testing its function. I loaded the magazines to 10 initially, and then I did 12 plus 1 just to see if it was going to cycle, and it shot like a champion. The gun, as I mentioned last time, is a little bit snappy as you would expect a gun like this to be. It is very much a Goldilocks size where you, through the extended base pads, do get your finger on the whole length of the gun, so it is controllable. It's just loud due to the short barrel. That's not a knock against this pistol. All pistols that are roughly this size and weight will have this issue. So it is a reasonably pleasant gun to shoot. It has a louder muzzle report than longer barreled variants would, but that's universal throughout any firearm, not just these ones. So I imagine the Taurus G3 with its longer barrel would be a little bit easier to shoot than the G3C. So that all said, I can say that as the gun is now, presuming you get one that works right out of the box, is a good value and is a well thought out gun. I do encourage you to keep your thumb on the manual safety and not underneath it when you shoot it, just so you don't inadvertently activate the safety, and completely ignore the thumb depressions on the frame, and you should be good to go. So if you get one of these, put at least 100 rounds through it and make sure that it doesn't have any issues. If it does have 1 or 2 issues with ejection or feeding or something like that, maybe put another 100 rounds through it until you're convinced that it's not going to choke on you anymore. That's what you should do with any pistol, but given my experience with this particular model, I would encourage you to do so, doing that as well. I see the appeal, guys. I understand why people like the Taurus G3C. It has a lot of value and it is a pretty darn good pistol, presuming you got one that works. So always test your gear before you hit the streets with it, and you should be a happy camper. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead and like, subscribe to the channel if you hadn't done so already and you'd like to see some information on some other pistols and some technique building stuff. I've got a Patreon in the link below where you can get more bonus content exclusive to Patreon members and 3 to 5 blog posts per week. As always, I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, guys.